As we're looking at the energy of prehistoric man in the energy in survival mode, let's have a look at some of the things he accomplished, because the energy of the chakras are overlap each other. So of course, prehistoric man is in survival mode. But somewhere along the line, he started to look at his world outside of himself to try and understand this world outside of himself. He looked out and he saw that, the sun comes up in the morning, it gives him light. It gets to a certain point where the sun goes over to the horizon, and it actually descends beyond the horizon, and it's dark. And then there is another light that comes up, but it's not quite bright enough for him to see what he's doing, and he finds that he's tired, he needs to sleep. So prehistoric man looked at his world and decided that, and started to worship the sun, because it was the thing that made everything around him bright, and so that he could see to go about his business, to survive. At night it's hard to survive because you can't see what is actually hunting you. Well, he couldn't see what was hunting him. So he followed through in this journey. Now, prehistoric man started to create art. He started to draw on cave walls. I'm sure he probably used a stick and drew in the mud. But of course, we don't have the mud to show us what he did. So he drew in the mud, most likely, and then in the secrets of places, which are caves, which represent the womb, another great mystery to prehistoric man. He goes into the caves and he started to paint his reverence to the sun, to the mysterious force that is causing him to survive, the thing that he's afraid of, but he also is dependent upon it, just as a child is dependent upon its parent. As he starts to create these bits of art, he's now moving into the creative chakra. He's moving into that place where he has the ability to take what is in his imagination and put it outside of himself. He started to create clothing. I'm sure fashion was probably part of his world. And he created art, beautiful art. And in the process of creating art, he also created tools. And of course, the tools move us into the power chakra, because tools move us into the Industrial Revolution. So back to the creative chakra. The creative chakra saw man producing incredible art, very much religious art, very much looking at the world outside of himself and seeing it as a magical, beautiful place. So of course, whether it be to God or to the goddesses, or to to the river, to the sun, prehistoric, because of course the Egyptians worshipped the god, sun god Ra. So they were worshiping the sun, and they were also worshiping the moon. And of course, Christianity came along, and we also had the Hebrew religion as well, worshiping Yahweh. So we move from the man, the human who was on survival, to a place where he's now able to feed himself, he's now able to be creative, and he starts to feel more comfortable about himself. As he's feeling the sense of self-confidence, he's doing it through his art. There are specific members of the community who were the artists, so they were the ones who were able to take the stories that we had, mankind's stories, interpret his dreams, and translate it out into the world by creating art, permanent art, sculptures, all those things. So man moved in, and of course, as I was saying, it culminated into the High Renaissance. Within the High Renaissance, you had you know, the Michelangelos, the Leonardo da Vinci's, the Botticelli's, all these incredible people, and art continued. But I think that was the height of it, and art started to move forward. These individuals' art are now actually priceless. You can't put a price on it. Evolving man created the wheel, and the wheel moved us all the way into the Industrial Revolution, which of course the Industrial Revolution is a power chakra. And the power chakra in the Industrial Revolution, we moved into the computer era within the power chakra. So we started to build incredible buildings. Wow. You know, we were creating incredible buildings, and all of this were coming about just as the High Renaissance was ending. So all these incredible bits of architecture, beautiful cars being created, beautiful ships. Look at the Titanic, beautiful boats. Like, our imagination exploded. Our view of infinite possibilities just grew and grew. So mankind started to feel more confident about himself as he exists on this physical plane. And the more confident we became, the more creative we became, the more adventuresome we became. We actually, you know, of course, in the power chakra energy, mankind went to the moon. But the interesting thing is that when man went to the moon in the 60s, we were also in the love generation. Love, love, love. You know, all you need is love. Well, I guess it's the 50s that man went to the moon, but I'll have to double check it. So as we do that, we move into the love generation. We start, and of course that started even beyond that when, you know, after the Victorian era, we move into the Edwardian period. And in the Edwardian period, women started to gain more sense of self. They started to see themselves as valuable. And in doing so, we started to, you know, all of humanity got pulled out of the constraints of secrecy and stiff upper lip and don't tell anybody what's going on. And we started to value ourselves more. And as we did that, we moved into the heart chakra. We moved into a place of, you know, of course, as I said before, the hippie days where, you know, we're going to love ourselves no matter what. We're not going to wear the clothes you want us to wear. We're going to wear what we want. And that actually, during that period, was probably, I'm going to say, the most creative in fashion. And it may not be the most beautiful fashion, but it was the most creative period in fashion. We moved into the 70s where, again, in the 80s where fashion got really crazy. And then we started to slip back in time and started to copy the stuff from the past. But when we moved into the heart chakra, we then basically moved into a place where we're loving ourselves, we're loving each other.